And you need to be able to take the evidence of seasons past and believe in yourself. And it's that grit that gives you the hope and that fuel to keep you going forward. Hope is not delusion. Hope is the audacity to believe that you have what it takes, and that if you don't right now, that you have the ability to get the skills to get to where you want to go. Welcome to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast, where artists of all kinds come to fuel their passion, sharpen their skills, and thrive in their creative lives. I'm your host, Laura Bianca-Pilcher, life and creativity coach and fellow artist, here to support you on your artistic journey. Whether you're a performer, writer, visual artist, or any kind of artist, this is the space for real talk, practical advice, and inspiring stories. Subscribe and join us each week for more inspiration and actionable insights to fuel your artistry. Let's dive in and get inspired. I'm back and 2025 is here, and it's already shaping up to be an interesting year for artists, whether you're reflecting still on last year, whether you've set goals in the new year, and I wonder how that's going, because statistics show that by February, most of you have dropped those goals. So this episode's actually going to be perfect for you, so stay tuned. Or just trying to navigate the creative challenges ahead. This episode's great for you. How artists can set goals and big themes for this year, past New Year, past January. I'm doing this intentionally now because this is when everyone lets it go. So if that's you, I'm going to pull back the curtain on how I approach goal setting as a professional accredited life coach, and the difference between goals and intentions, and why hope, especially for artists, is a tool, not just a feeling. And I want you to be able to dive into this. But before I do, I thought I'd give you an update, because one of my goals for this year is to just be more authentic with you. Not that I've worn a mask, but just let you know what's going on in my life more, let you know as an artist, what's going on behind the scenes a bit more. And I thought that would be a great way for you to get to know me better between the episodes of me giving you some advice and things like that as well. But before I go into that, I want you guys to know that I created over the break that we just had over December and January, where I didn't release any new episodes, and I intentionally took that time to plan my 2025 and to reflect and really get intentional with where I want to go. Part of that was this podcast, and I created a new resource. So if you're feeling a little stagnant, if your momentum is waning a little, if you're feeling a bit stuck, I created a free download for you. You can just go to laurabiancapilcher.com and you will see Stuck in a Creative Rut right there. Just fill in your name and email and it will automatically go to you. Back to it. Welcome back to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast. I am so excited. I'm going to solo talk about goals, intentions, and some of the big themes shaping this year for all of us as artists. I'm also going to share about my wins and challenges from 2024, the lessons I'm carrying forward, and how I use tools like digital vision boards rooted in coaching principles throughout my year, not just New Year's resolutions or January, to stay focused and intentional. And this is about being real and not perfect, because 3% of people, and I learned this as part of my life coach training, which I completed and graduated from last year with, even though I think I've done it for years, that was the formal qualification, I realized that only 3% of the population set goals. So that means that most of you that I'm talking to will really relate to what I'm about to share. Last year, looking back, one of the biggest wins was for me sticking to weekly podcast episodes, and that with every episode I do a blog. And every week I showed up, and that consistency felt really grounding. Acting work, on the other hand, was slower than expected for every actor I know, because the strike finished. We all thought it was going to go fast again, like a big, waterfall effect because of some sort of backlog, and it didn't happen. A lot of production went to London, some went to Australia. If you were watching like some of the streaming channels, you would have noticed a change in what was in the top 10 because a lot of the new projects were benched for the time being, and things did not come back fast. They were trickling in, and self-taping studios here in Atlanta had very quiet weeks. Casting directors, some of them hadn't cast anything for 18 months. I mean, it was affecting everybody. But what I want to share is that no matter what's going on in your creative career, for me, when I did audition in 2024, I just focused on doing the best I could, performing really well, and that was the boost that I needed. And when I do a self-tape or, submit something, I always do the best I can and I send it in and I leave it at that. I don't start planning my life like I'm going to book it. Of course, I always want to. But that's really my part done, and the rest is out of my control. And years ago, I wasn't good at releasing that second part, but now it's just like I do it and I get on with my day and forget about it. And if I get that email saying, hey, you've got a call back, it's, oh, that's nice, rather than kind of sitting on the edge of my seat thinking, when's the phone going to call? So I encourage you to do your part and release the control of the rest. So I really wanted to share that with you because that was huge for me last year. Also, as you guys know, I'm a writer, and my book writing and literary agent journey went so much slower last year than I could possibly have imagined or even hoped. And it ended up being such a lesson in patience. I signed with a literary agent, and then we would go back and forth, and I had another person working with me that was an editor. And because they've got more than one project, these are big places, I would go back and forth, and it could be weeks between hearing back on the edits. And I found myself sort of, what were we talking about back then? So there was a lot of new things I had to develop as a writer in my first literary experience in terms of being signed with an agent. And so everything was slow last year. And then, of course, AI comes in, and that really took off last year. And, there was just so much uncertainty in the publishing industry around that as well. So that slowed down, and it's been harder for people to get publishing contracts and stuff like that. So that journey's definitely been slow. But I really do think that this is the year, from what I've been talking to my literary agent just this week. I had a meeting yesterday. It's looking good to get the book that I've been itching to get into your hands for 2.5 years. It's looking like it's going to be out later this year. So stay tuned, friends, and stay encouraged if this is something you can relate to. But when I say it's been a lesson in patience, and honestly, keeping hope alive through challenges in the creative industries, and on top of that, in my personal life, I was trying to sell my home. I only yesterday got an offer after 60 times staging, cleaning my house. And I've got kids that are like mess tornadoes and setting it up, getting the cats and the kids in the car 60 times. I had to do 60 showings, they call it in the US. 60 times people coming through my house. And I felt like I was losing my mind. It was just so much. And so keeping hope alive is a really big theme in this episode. You've heard me say before that as a creative, everything in our life, for me, the home sale or whatever it is for you, affects our creativity because we're a whole person. So there's that 360-degree view of who we are. And reflecting on it now, I can see that there's progress, but it doesn't feel linear. And I was just actually taking a hot bath right before filming this and thinking, it's not a ladder, the arts. It's a racetrack. It's not a ladder, it's a racetrack, having a long-term arts career. And when I say a racetrack, it's like you are going around and around and around, not sure if you're actually getting to the finish line, but every now and then you get a pit stop and you get to rest and you get to recharge, and then you get back on and you submit that self-tape, you do that audition, you get to that class, and you just keep going. And maybe eventually for one project you will land into that finish line. But maybe for some of you, you don't relate to that. It's definitely not a ladder, because it's like some people think, oh, I've booked a feature or I've got into this, and that therefore the rest of my career is just going to sort itself out. And that's not been my experience. It's like you have a really great high and a very low low. You get some great status, and then the next year you might not have anything that brings you any sort of reputability in the industries or whatever it is that your outlet and genre is. So be encouraged by that, but also you could think of it rather than a racetrack as more of a scenic mountain drive. And sometimes you're going uphill and sometimes you're going downhill and coasting, but there's a lot of uphill, my friends. So I want you to know that having hope is actually a characteristic of artists that you need to have. And here's how it goes, that you have to believe in yourself. And no matter how many times you've been rejected, along the way in your artist journey, there will be evidence that you have what it takes, whether that was when you were studying, whether that's when you did a piece and people were like, wow, that was amazing, that painting, or whatever, or oh, that dance really moved me. You collect those pieces of evidence because when you go through a hard time and a season where there's just nothing happening or no opportunities are presenting themselves, and even though I do believe you have to create your own, there are times where there are no opportunities that you're currently doing because life, gets in the way at times of that. And you need to be able to take the evidence of seasons past and believe in yourself. And it's that grit that gives you the hope and that fuel to keep you going forward. Hope is not delusion. Hope is the audacity to believe that you have what it takes, and that if you don't right now, that you have the ability to get the skills to get to where you want to go. That's how I define hope. It's audacious to have that belief in yourself and that belief that you can get there if you put in the work. And a lot of this stuff is what's in my book. So let's talk about what a goal actually is versus a New Year's resolution. I did a post on my Instagram about this, where I said a goal is when you set a New Year's resolution, quite often it's a wish. It's not a goal. So think of it like that. Like a good intention is fantastic, but it can just be a wish if you don't actually know how you're going to get there and how you're going to break it down in action steps. Here's how I break it down as a coach. Goals are the measurable results you're working towards. Think like write 10,000 words for my book by April, or land 3 auditions this quarter. And to do that, I'm actually going to submit every day to this many auditions in order to actually book those auditions and get called in to do those auditions. As a coach, this is a really important area because when I get a creativity client, an artist, we really do work hard on identifying what they really want, because it might be like, I'd like to have more fun, which is a great intention, but to actually break that down into what does it look like and how do we make that into an actual tangible goal so it moves past just a vague wish into something they can actually action and work towards is really powerful in your life. So whatever those goals are, like I want to be an actor, we can actually break those things down. And it's a really powerful way to actually move yourself forward and find the steps that will help you get there. And that is so empowering as an artist. But blending your goal with, what's my intention? What's my wish? Of course, though even thinking about those things can create a sense of momentum because you're actually putting the thought in. So much of what we want is in our subconscious, like we just don't think about it. And we just continue to go around that racetrack. Actually, it's a nice metaphor because I said earlier, it'd be nicer if it was more of a scenic drive and you're going uphill sometimes because it's hard work, and then sometimes you get to coast down. But to shift it from racetrack, I think you do need to tune into your subconscious and what's actually going on in my head, and what are the stories I'm telling myself that maybe are keeping me stuck and not moving me forward. So this is what I think in this next section is really important for 2025 for artists, because there is opportunity this year, rather than be threatened by things like AI, to actually go, it's actually a tool that I can use to help clarify the mess of my creativity or my idea, but it's not something that's supposed to do it for you, but you can in a way have this collaboration using it. And I think that's very powerful. And also I think we really, more than ever, because of the rise of social media and the digital world, there's 3 things we need to do that are so important. And I already talked about AI and human creativity in late 2024, but it's worth revisiting as AI continues to evolve. Our human creativity, our stories, emotions, and unique perspectives become even more valuable. So this year, lean into what makes your work unmistakably yours, unmistakably authentic. I think that's a really big theme for 2025. Yes, the world is saturated, but if you want to have a creative voice, you've got to lean into the truth of your authenticity. Another big thing for 2025 is community over isolation. This is big, guys, huge. 2025 is not going to be about appealing to everyone. It's about finding your people, whether that's a close-knit group of artists or an online circle, although I do encourage in person, or intentional phone calls. Those are wonderful too. But consistency with that and putting yourself into those communities builds the relationship. Connection this year is essential. Don't try to do it without that. And number 3 is consistency. That means showing up every day for your art without perfection. So showing up regularly is more important than doing everything perfectly. Consistency builds trust with yourself, with your audience, and it builds momentum and it brings you joy. That means that maybe you only write for 20 minutes a day, or maybe you're in a season where you're not getting to do many dance classes like you used to, but you manage to go, I can do a 10-minute bar today. Or it might mean as a singer that I haven't had time to create my own music, but I'm going to just stick on a backing track and I'm just going to sing for the sake of my soul. Finding ways to just be consistent without worrying about the perfection of it is so important for your mental health. Now, I said I was going to get real with you, so I'm going to talk about something I do, and I've done it for about 3 years now, and I make my whole family do it. Let's talk about vision boards. I create mine digitally in Canva, and it's not about sticking pretty images on a page. It's about creating focus. My boards includes categories that I get from coaching, like personal growth and creativity and relationships, like that 360 life pie. And each image or word I put on there represents an action or a goal, and not just a feeling that I want. So I'm specific. For example, instead of adding a picture of a book, I'll write draft completed by August or something like that. Vision boards really help me personally to stay clear on what matters to me and grounded when doubt creeps in. If you're new to vision boards, start really simple and ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? How do I want it to feel like while I'm doing it? And then build visuals around your answers. It's actually something I want to develop in the future, is a workshop for artists to be able to come and do that with me. I do it with my family at the moment. You can do a one-on-one with me and I can take you through the process. But one of the beautiful things is that I print these and I put them where I intentionally see them every single day. My personal one, my husband's where he goes every day. The kids have theirs in their rooms where they see it every day, because what it does is it reminds as you get busy through the year, and I don't think you should do these just in New Year's resolution stage. That's why I'm talking to you now as momentum's going down for so many. You see that vision board and the things in the categories in every area of your life that are important to you, and it reminds you for the things that are subconsciously not getting done. It brings it into your vision, and that brings it back into your memory, and then it brings it into your actions in your week. It's like, oh, that's right. I set a goal with my family to play pickleball this year, or I set a goal to have more dates with my husband. I should go and plan something, because it's reminded me every single day that I see this vision board. It's so powerful. Now, I talked about hope at the start, but I just want to finish this episode with saying that it's more than a feeling. It's powerful, and it's one of the chapters in my upcoming book. It's all about hope, because hope isn't passive. It's an active something. You cultivate it and you work towards it. And as artists, hope is what keeps us going when auditions are slow, when projects stall, or when the industry feels uncertain, when we have self-doubt. For me, hope looks like trusting that slow progress is still progress, or trusting that I have what it takes, as I said earlier, or trusting that this little action step today is going to just bring some momentum and bring me forward. It's about surrounding myself with people who believe in what I'm doing, my community. So if hope has felt distant for you lately, think about one small way you can reconnect with it. Sometimes it is talking to a friend. One of the things I do to stir it up in myself, because I've had moments where I let myself go, I feel hopeless and I feel low, but I actually will go through, this is what I'm thankful for, and this is what I have done. For example, about my book, maybe it's gone slower, but I have done this. I have finished my draft. I have edited it. It's not where I want it to be, but I have done this. I believe I can get there. I had a rejection today. I didn't get a publishing contract yet, but I believe I can get there because I've heard this is good and I wouldn't be signed if it wasn't. So you sort of talk yourself into a place where you start to believe in yourself again. So think about little ways that you can do that. It could be through journaling for you. It could be starting that vision board and actually getting future focused, or reaching out to a fellow creative to share where you're at. Or you can always do a one-on-one coaching session with me. I'm great at helping you find your hope again. That's actually part of the whole coaching process. Okay, in this final section, let's talk about 2025 plans. Practical steps. This year, I'll be focusing more on solo podcast episodes like this one. It feels like the right time to lean into some really deeper conversations and storytelling and authenticity about the highs and the lows of being an artist, rather than giving you a polished episode where everything sounds rosy and like I've mastered everything. I want to give you the raw emotion of what it's like for me and how I deal with that, because I know that is what you need. It's so much more inspiring than perfection. And of course, I'll take my summer break as I do around the June, July area to recharge from the podcast, because it is a lot of work, but I do love it. And for you, here are some steps to start 2025 strong past January and past the new year, which we are at the time I'm recording this, so that you can continue to have a great year and not just let things slide. Right now, most people have stopped talking about reflecting on 2024. Well, I'm going to say now's the time for you to reflect. What worked for you? What didn't? Celebrate the wins, no matter how small. Take some time to write this down. Then I want you to set goals and intentions. Pair clear, measurable goals with your hopes that keep you grounded. You can start with, well, what's my wishes? What's my intention? I'd like to do this. And then I want you to make it an actual goal that you can say in a sentence that's actually taking you into your future. 3, use a vision board, whether physical or digital. Let it guide your focus and actions, and put it somewhere where you can see it to remind you. Find your community. This is number 4. Connection makes the creative process less lonely and more sustainable. And 5, stay consistent. Small actions over time lead to big results, my friends. Don't fall for the lie. I was just thinking about this morning. Don't fall for the lie that the artist life, you're just kind of waiting for that big opportunity. It's actually more about the little things that you're doing every day that will allow you to have the title artist for your entire life, because you're always moving towards things, even in ways that might not feel exciting some days, but it's that consistency of showing up that really needs to be cultivated to thrive. This year, and this goes if you're listening to this in a future year, it doesn't have to feel overwhelming. It's not about focusing on, how you failed in the past. It's about reflecting on that learning, but it's about focusing on what matters most moving forward, staying consistent, and trusting yourself to navigate the challenges ahead. And if you love this episode, please share it with another artist. I would love this year to actually increase my followers and listening base. That's one of my goals on my vision board, because that's what I'm doing. That's my parallel career to being an artist, is being a coach, and this is part of how I give back to the world. So feel free to share this with somebody who needs it. If their goals are slipping, if they're feeling like they're lacking hope, this is something you can give them right now. I am Lara. I'm with you on the journey, and I will see you next week. And you want more tips? Head to larabiancapilcher.com for the show notes and free resources. Don't forget the free Creative Rut download on my homepage, or freebies on my website. And please subscribe, leave a review, and you'll get the reminders for the weekly episodes. With you on the journey, friends. I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an inspiring conversation or actionable insight. You can read the show notes and learn more at larabiancapilcher.com. And be sure to share this episode with fellow artists who could use a little extra inspiration. Until next time, keep creating, stay audacious, and remember, your artistry matters.